This is SYNND.
Co-founders of Social Media Science, Charles Heflin and Tom Rozof, are on the air with us right now to talk a little bit more about a very interesting product. Gentlemen, let's get right to it. We don't have time to mess around. It's a competitive world out there. A lot of business people are trying to eat my business lunch. In fact, I noticed a couple of burritos missing out of my Taco Bell bag just a moment ago. So let's talk about getting traffic to my site kind of stuff. So where do we begin? You've got this thing called SYNND. Charles, what is SYNND?
Well, SYNND is a cooperation of hundreds of people from around the world to basically promote their websites and blogs, or basically any content that they have out there on the internet. A lot of people go through the internet marketing thing. They spend way too much time doing it when they should be cooperating with other people or have an outsource force or team that does promotion work for them after they're done creating their content. And SYNND is a tool that helps people do that.
And Tom, tell us about the size and power of this particular network of people working to promote my website.
First of all, SYNND is a software. It's an automation software that allows you to do exactly what Charles just talked about. And we've got close to 800 people now who are involved as members. And those members literally go to work for you, or we should say their computers go to work for you, because we've set it up so that they're kind of working in an automated fashion also. And once you join SYNND, you become part of that members network, and you are syndicating for others as well. And so within the actual SYNND network, we've got sites like Twitter and Dig and Mix and, all kinds, Blinklist and, you name it. And if it's a social network that works within the confines of syndication and bookmarking, and now we're adding 10 new article networks. We've slated to get video on to SYNND here soon too. So it's a growing compilation of some of the best social media sites that anyone would want to have their content syndicated to.
All right, so a lot of people listening to our show today might be totally new to this concept of syndication. Let's give them a visual. Charles, can you give us an example of what this means? How does this work? What's it look like in the real world without any of the jargon?
Well, basically, content syndication is the distribution of your content beyond your website or blog or video channel or whatever. It's taking that content and pushing it out in front of a bunch of eyeballs and a bunch of other networks where it wasn't previously. In a nutshell, in layman's terms, SYNND is just a tool for increasing the visibility of your content to increase traffic and inbound links.
All right, so say I'm a dentist. I've got a great practice going, but I do need new business. And I produce a video talking about my practice and what a great guy I am and the wonderful experience you're going to have bringing your family to my dental practice. How would SYNND help take that content to the world?
Well, basically what SYNND would do in the case of a dentist is it would put content up on the social networks or article channels, make it more widely visible so that would bring an increase of traffic to that web page or content, which the search engines are watching levels of traffic. Once they see a spike in levels of traffic to a piece of content, they tend to rank it higher. So as a dentist in a local area, geo-local targeted search terms, it's going to increase your visibility within local areas in the search engines, and that should be your primary goal with SYNND. So SYNND and your business, it really depends on the type of business that you have as to how you would use SYNND to begin with, and we have training for that.
Now on your website, Tom, you say that SYNND will help me leverage my time. Can you clarify that for me? What's that mean?
Well, leverage meaning, what software should do is always leverage time. It should make things easier. It should allow you to do a lot with a little. With the push of a button, with SYNND, you're able to disperse and distribute content out to 40-some networks at one time. Just think if you did that by hand. Just think if you had to go into Mix and Dig and Blinklist and all these sites and Twitter and had to do all that one by hand.
I've tried it. I became suicidal after about 18 hours.
Well, it's a big waste of time, and that's kind of and not only is it's a waste of time to do it that way, but a lot of people still do it because they get such great benefit from it. Now, just think of not having to waste your time doing it. And
Sure.
having all this content shoved out, you use the example of the dentist. Let's just say this dentist has a new technique. Maybe it's pain-free dentistry, and there's a really neat article that they write on it, or they hire us to write an article on it, and we do the research and write a really cool article on, this particular technique that's going around in dentistry on pain-free dentistry. And so that gets sent out to the networks, and when somebody in, say, Dig clicks on that article, they're sent back to your blog or your website to read it. Thus, they see everything else around your website too. So what it's doing is it's bringing traffic to your site. And as Charles said, when that begins to be geo-targeted, because you're putting in the links in terms of the city and the location and stuff like that, then you're getting people from your city who are reading an article that's of interest to them, and maybe they want to bring their kids to a pain-free dentist, and so that's kind of how the process works. And then maybe in Twitter somebody says, hey, you got to read this article, it's really great. So you get the social networks working for you, and it's not just SYNND that goes to work. Once that gets ranked up and some of our 800 people pick up the article, and then they also syndicate it out and rank it up higher, then it's seen by more and more people, and that process just continues to tumble so that more and more eyeballs get to see your article, which would have never happened even if you did it on your own. Charles kind of puts it this way. He says it's like a rocket booster. A rocket booster can get something off the ground, but if it's not good, it's not going to fly.
Sure.
And so that's why we are always encouraging people to write good content. We sift through the content. We have human eyeballs on every piece of content that goes through our network because we're not a spam network. We try to teach good content. And if that is good, it'll just rise up there. It'll be great.
All right, so then, Charles, tell us about the automation aspect of this. SYNND automates the promotional tasks according to your website. What does that mean?
Well, basically what that means is that, once you start a campaign, it takes about 2 to 5 minutes to create a campaign in SYNND. And then what happens is it goes through quality control. Once quality control approves it, then it goes onto the job boards on SYNND. And then what happens is that up to 800 different people, or however many members we have in the network at any given time, their computer will automatically pick up the task. And their task could be to vote on it, rate it, bump it, dig it, whatever the task is that's assigned to that computer and that person at that time. And then their computer automatically logs into their social network or to their article account or whatever and does a promotional action on your campaign automatically. So this happens across, hundreds of people, hundreds of IP addresses all across the world. You're not promoting your content yourself. Hundreds of other people are doing it for you, and it's all happening on autopilot.
And the goal is to get traffic back to my website, right?
Well, it gets you traffic. It does a few things. It gets traffic. It also increases your visibility in the search engines, your rankings in the search engines, and it increases your ranking and visibility within each social network that you're submitted to, because you're not just submitting, say, a bookmark one time, okay? Once it's submitted a bookmark once, then you have, say, 20, 30, 100 other people come in and submit that same bookmark to their individual bookmarking accounts. Now you've gone above and beyond just a bookmark and entered into the realm of social buzz building. And that's one of the biggest things that SYNND does. And this is a new ranking factor that the search engines are paying attention to. What do humans think about my content? What do humans think about it? As soon as you start building that social buzz that surrounds each piece of content that you put out, you're really starting to build some authority there.
It's really like popularity, and we know that Google's ranking this now. They don't talk about it much, but we see the effects of it in our testing. And it makes sense. If something's popular and a lot of people are passing it around or talking about it or mentioning it, Google's going to want to know that. So they track that. And when they see a lot of this happening at once, that causes them to simply put their eyeball on it and say, hey, something's happening here. So it's a ranking factor. It affects, any kind of branding or naming that's attached to the site. And it really works good if you wanted to build recognition, have people see you over and over again. it's really syndication. That's what syndication does. It gets one piece of content out to many networks at one time.
And not only does it get it to the network, it increases the popularity of that content within each network.
Can you explain how that works? I mean, it seems that more popularity breeds more popularity. How does that work?
Well, think about it like this. Imagine that you were in a concert and there's 50,000 people there, and everybody is trying to say the same thing. Everybody's trying to give praise to the singer or the artist, whoever's up on stage, and nobody can hear you because you're just being drowned among the noise. That's what's happening in these social networks. But what we do is we give you a platform to stand on and a megaphone so that you're able to rise above the noise and people can see and hear your message above everybody else's because you have so much momentum of the SYNND network behind it, promoting and increasing the visibility and popularity of your content.
This is SYNND.